that it's time for all of you to know now as we get ready with buying tickets and travel insurance and all that really important stuff that some of you have probably might have already done. So let me just go over this with you, and then we can have questions and additions and whatever else is needed for this second meeting together. But nice to see all of you looking around. Okay, because I want you to keep in mind there are some of you who have traveled a lot, and there are some of you that have not left America. And so, and all of them are important. So that's why this is going to be a little more detail oriented. And here we go. So I have this preview right here. Okay, good. And let's just mute everyone for a moment. So Kashmir retreat right here as you see it, which is September 8th through the 20th of 2025. This is a beautiful picture of Dal Lake, which is near Swamiji's ashram, and the mountains around it, and the background and everything of that sort. Just a really beautiful sunset, I believe. So currently in the luxury guest house, I've made a couple of mistakes here because the luxury guest house used to only have 16 rooms. Now they've built all these extra rooms. It has 25 rooms, but 3 of them are suites. So I've pushed those to the side because they're charging a good amount more, which I'll give everyone the option if they want to have a suite. I'll send photos and everything, but I'm not going to do that for a couple weeks. But out of the 22 rooms, 18 rooms are filled, and we have 4 rooms available still. And then in the basic guest house, which has 16 rooms, we have 12 rooms taken with participants, and we have 4 rooms available. And then also we're going to have a few other rooms in some other places, but we still haven't gone into that yet because there's so many bits and pieces with this. So let me just go to the next part here, which has to do with flights to Delhi. So those of you who are leaving from somewhere in Europe, or you are leaving from the States or Canada or Mexico or somewhere in South America, basically flights to Delhi, just keep this in mind, that you lose a day or two when you fly to India from the US. I'm going to show you an example of that in a moment on Expedia. So say if you leave LA on September 28th, after a 24-hour flight, which has a stopover somewhere, 1 or 2 stopovers, you will arrive in Delhi, usually depending on when you've left Los Angeles, on September 30th. So you lose a day. Just keep that in mind when you're buying your ticket and you want to get to Kashmir maybe a day or 2 or 3 early. I'm going to go over the whole process with you. Okay, so flights to Delhi are that. And then flights to Srinagar. I think a Srinagar flight is an hour and a half. Please correct me, someone, of what I recall, hour and a half to 2 hours. But when you fly into Delhi, for most of us, myself included, unless you've got the energy, I would suggest to stay at one of the hotels in the airport, near the airport, for the night, and then fly out to Delhi the next morning. There's also an international hotel within the airport. It's a little more expensive that you can stay on, that friends of mine have stayed in. It just makes it easier not having to take a taxi to go to the hotel and all of that. And then straight from there, you're able to fly from the domestic airport to Srinagar. But if you are going to fly directly from Delhi to Srinagar the same day, try to keep a 4 to 5 hour gap between your arrival to Delhi and your takeoff to Srinagar, because things happen, right? If you get stuck in immigration, if you get stuck in customs, there's just so many things that can happen. So keep a nice little distance in between the two if you can. And I've given you the flight codes for, oh, I said Delhi right there. That's supposed to say Srinagar. Sorry about that. Flight code for Srinagar is SXR, and flight code for Delhi is DEL. When you're looking on the, let me just stop for a moment. Because I want to show you a couple things. When you're looking on the flights for Expedia or Kayak, or if you're going to the actual airline. So before I go on, there's a couple things I want to show you, but any thoughts or comments, those of you who have done these flights, that you want to share? Any little pieces of advice?
I just want to ditto what you said about if you're flying like all the way from, say, the US to Delhi, that you, to do that extra 24 hours, depending on your body and your, um, limitations. I've gone 4 times to India, and I really appreciated having that 24 hours because it was really hard on my body to go from one to the next to the next to the next without that break.
I can't do it. Yeah, Bhakta, thank you for that. Yeah, I can't do it. Otherwise, I'm just my brain's zonked. But some people can. So I'm sure. Hopefully, you all know who you are energy wise. Rick.
Oh, I just want to say that I took your advice and I have already booked my flight and I'm arriving in Delhi on um, Friday night late.
Okay.
I got a direct flight from New York to Delhi. So it's late on Friday night. I plan on spending probably until Monday morning, maybe
Mhm.
in Delhi.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure when I'm going to book my flight to Srinagar.
I would stay, if you're staying at a hotel, they usually have great breakfasts that are part of the package. I'd always get a package with the breakfast because they'll have a bunch of little Indian things to eat for breakfast, Western things, and it's just a night and some tea or coffee, and then go to the airport and fly out to Srinagar. I'm going to give you one of my friends, John, said that, John Vossler, he said that there's a hotel he stays at and it's not very expensive. And he said it was really nice. I can't remember the name right now, but that I will send regarding hotels and possibilities. Okay,
Great.
for
I'm
all of
also
you.
interested if anybody else is going to arrive around that time and we could meet up in Delhi. I'd love it.
Okay. Well, we'll
This
we'll
is my
share
first time to
everyone's
India.
stuff. Yeah, we'll share information and all that, once people start buying their tickets, and maybe we can keep this whole thing where we can share it and have it out there because I think that's a great idea, Rick.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I think we were gonna also create a WhatsApp group so people can share and connect with each other
Yeah, WhatsApp.
during.
So if you don't have WhatsApp yet, a lot of Americans tend to not, at least my friends. Get a what get just get your account. Even Alan got it. Get your account of WhatsApp, and then we will create a group of just our group, and these type of things can be shared and asked, and it's a wonderful way. Good point, Claudia. Thank you for that.
WhatsApp is sort of the main communication tool in India. So
Yeah, it makes it
Because you
easier
can't
with
send
as much
you
as
can
I'd like to resist, I've swallowed the Kool-Aid.
for WhatsApp. Any other comments or questions before hi Barbara, before I show you the two things that I think might be helpful for you for ordering tickets, possibilities? Okay. If you have any questions, just put your hand up or put it into the chat. So let me just share this with hi Ricardo. Long time no see. South India. Okay. So what I have here is two parts. I wanted to show you, hold on. I wanted to show you for those of you who are newer to traveling internationally, there's two sites that I go to just to check tickets. And sometimes, a lot of times I buy them from here. One is Expedia and the other one is Kayak, and that's here in America. I'm sure there's other better websites that you use to get all the different flights in Europe and in South America, but this is what we use most of the time here. So a couple things that I just want to show you. I gave an example where I'm leaving from Los Angeles to Delhi, round trip ticket, economy seat. And say I'm leaving September 3rd because I want to get to Kashmir a couple days earlier, also because of the time change and getting ready for everything, used to everything. And then leaving September 20th, but say in the evening, because September 20th in the morning, you would fly to Delhi and you want some hours in between flights to be able to catch your flight. So let me just look down here, just give you an example. If you were, say, to take Qatar Airlines, what I want you to keep in mind here is the time here. You want to keep the 22 hours or 21 hours or 23 hours. Those are all doable. That means that the stopover, wherever it's stopping, is about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is great. I would suggest to stay away from flights that are, I can't see any here right now, that are 27 hours, that are like 30 hours, 40 hours. There's many of them that are like, they might be even cheaper. They don't look like they're cheaper here, but they might be cheaper by like $100, but then your energy level is just getting kind of knocked out from being somewhere for so many hours in the stopover. So what I'm suggesting is, for those of you leaving the States, all of you in Europe, it's a much shorter flight, is try to keep it, where it's not a huge, where you have many stopovers or where you're stopping over for a long period. So I just want to show you that. And if you can, try to have where it's just one stopover. Two just makes it harder. It just does. And there's possibilities of missing flights more often on two than there is on a one stopover. Or if you can get a ticket like Rick's that's direct, best. Alan.
Yeah, real quick. There is a direct flight to Delhi from San Francisco on Air India. But I have to say that my experience on Air India has been very mixed, and their customer service is terrible. But if you're focused on a direct flight, I think that direct flight actually from San Francisco to Delhi only takes 15 hours. So that may be a factor for some people.
Yeah, that's really nice, isn't it? 15 hours compared to, not stopping anywhere. Thanks for that, Alan. So I wanted to show you the second website here that I use that's been pretty useful for myself, and some people that travel to India more or within India might have better suggestions. I use Make My Trip. Whenever I'm flying around India to Chennai or to other places, I use Make My Trip. So I'll ask other people to share what they do in a moment. And again, nonstop, right? They have nonstop seats right here. I mean, tickets for $111, not bad, but I think it's actually $129 with tax. Just to know that they don't add the tax till the end of this whole thing. But there's just many. When I was a child living in Kashmir, there were 1 to 2 flights a day. And now there's like, what, 20, 30 flights a day? It's a whole different thing. So you have an array of choices of times and tickets and prices and everything. So I would suggest to use Make My Trip. And what I mentioned also is for Srinagar, it's I gave you the code that's in there, but it'll just come up. You'll go from Delhi to Srinagar, put the date in. You don't have to worry about it being a day later or a day before, same day, and then your return. But make sure that your return is later. Make sure your departure and return coincide with what your tickets are coming to India and leaving India. Okay. So before I go on, comments, thoughts, better websites.
The transit in Delhi on the way out, the last time, it may have been because it was an Indian holiday, but that transit from the domestic flight over to the international side, in particular on the way back, took a surprisingly, shockingly long time, hours and hours.
Really? Like how many hours? Because that's why I said people should have
I
like a,
think it was a good, like I was in line to go through that there, maybe between 2 and 3 hours.
okay, so do you think if people had a 5 hour break between the two flights is a good amount of time?
I think 5 hours is probably enough.
Okay,
Probably, yeah, I do.
okay, okay. Good to know.
But
Thank you for that, Al. I didn't know that because I haven't dealt with that in years.
it surprised me how slowly things moved.
Okay.
And
Yes.
hi, it's Lucy and Kathy, and we've had the same experience. I think we were over 4 hours waiting in the airport going through.
Wow.
So I don't think we were there on the same day, Alan, and we had the same experience.
Oh, wow, that's intense. Okay, I haven't dealt with that before, so this is good to hear. That's why we're all here to share our stories, right?
Are you talking
Experiences.
about coming home from India?
Yeah,
Oh,
going
okay.
from the domestic, you're flying Srinagar to Delhi, and so you're on the domestic side of the terminal, and then getting over to the international side was really slow. The day
Oh,
that I went through, they were actually I think the slowdown was they were wanding every single person. Not only did you go through the metal detector, but they actually physically were wanding everybody. So it was super, super slow.
wow.
Really good to know.
I had a question, Shauna.
Yeah.
When I booked my flights in 23, I think I used SpiceJet, and what I noticed, I had some troubles with. I tried to go to the specific airlines like Air India and so on, and I had lots of trouble with connectivity with them. Approving. Trying to get a I don't know what you call it. They clarify the thing through the phone. I just couldn't connect with them very well. That's why I ended up at SpiceJet. So this Make My Trip, is this like Expedia or Kayak, and do they do the booking for you or what?
Yeah, they do the booking, everything and stuff like that. I've had really bad experiences with SpiceJet personally.
Yes,
The
yes.
company I won't ever use again. I've lost tickets. Anyways, no, don't need to go over the stories. But I've used Make My Trip, and I'm not promising anything, but from my experiences, they've been right on.
Do you recommend a particular airlines if they suggest a couple that we should prefer?
My favorite one that I try to fly on, but a lot of times they don't have the flights I want, is Vistara.
Ah.
Vistara. But I always end up on what is it? What was the one that we just saw right there? The Indigo. They always seem to have the times that I want, and they're not bad. It's kind of like going on Southwest Airlines here in America, is what I would say that Vistara is like.
Is Air India acceptable?
I've not really been on them in a long time, but
Okay.
So Air India and Air India Express, I've flown internally, and they seem to be okay. I did have an experience with trying to book directly through Air India Express. They really tried to jack me hard on the price of the ticket, like really shockingly, like $130 ticket they were trying to charge me $500 or $600 for. So I think your whatever using this other website that you suggested is good. I used booking.com, but booking through a third party may save you getting hassled by the company directly.
Thank you.
The other thing, just so you guys know, is Vistara was bought out by Air India this fall, so there is no.
that's what I just remembered when I was
Oh.
saying that. So I haven't been on them since they were bought out. Thank you for that. Seems like you guys know India more than myself, going there so many times. Thank you, Lucy and Kathy. Harish says, on the 20th, what is the earliest time we should book out of Srinagar to Delhi and stuff like that? From last time, that morning, people had their breakfast. Everyone just seemed rushed and just left, is what happened. So whatever time you would like to do it, if you want to have breakfast with all of us and sit and then go, or if you want to go first thing early, that's fine too. Because I remember that's how over half of the cars that were taking people were going out around 8 in the morning. Because in Kashmir, the level of security that you have to go through the airport is the most I've ever done in any country in the world. So you'll have to, instead of getting there an hour or 2 hours before, you usually have to get there about 3 to 3.5 hours before, because you have to go through the different things because of their past problems in the past. Yeah. Yes, Bhakta.
Are you gonna say anything about the extended time you could stay till the 22nd?
Yeah, okay, so I can just say it right now, and then let me go to this other thing. Those of you who want to come early, which I would suggest either to Srinagar or to Delhi, just to get used to the time change, once you get your ticket, reach out to us at info@lakshmanjooacademy.org. Tell us when you're planning on coming and how many nights you want a room. We will connect you with the hotel, right? And you'll get and get the room for either pre or post. And then you'll have a room for 2 nights before or for 2 nights after. And I'll try to make sure that they give you the price that they stay with the right price.
But if I stay in a hotel, let's say after the retreat ends,
Yeah.
I'm just on my own, so to speak.
Yeah, totally. You can do anything you want. because we're in the, not yet, but probably around June or so, we're going to send out an email to everyone with a form so we can get all your information, the tickets, when you're coming, when you're leaving, so you can be picked up and dropped off at the airport by our guys and stuff like that. But that'll all happen probably around June.
Okay.
Making sure that you get travel insurance, all that. So let me go. Any other questions that need to be taken care of right now, or may I go forward? Looking around. Okay. Good. So let me go to the next one. Something I did not mention in this picture before I shot to the next one is this is the temple and the waterway to get to the temple where Swamiji was initiated when he was young. So we'll be going by there too from the outside. And this photo, when we were talking about flights to Delhi and flights to Srinagar, this is the Shankaracharya temple up on the hill. And we were so lucky that day, or blessed, hopefully we will this time too, where we were able to go where none of the tourists or anybody that goes and visits this pilgrimage place were there yet. We went around 6 or 6:30 in the morning for the morning aarti. And you can see I think this is Ricardo, Ricardo, who's coming with us again. But it was just really pretty magnificent being there where we were just with the priests and the army and the singing and the music. It was in this ancient temple. Okay, so let me move on here. This is Swami Ram's ashram in the middle of town that we go visit as well, Swamiji's Grand Master. So let me tell you about the documents that you need for those of you who are new to this travel. You need to have a valid passport with 6 months to 1 year expiration at least. And this has to be from the date that you are arriving in India. Let me repeat that. I've had one person sent back to America. You have to look at your passport. And if you are arriving in India on September 6th or September 5th, now let's just say, let's stay one day, September 5th, you have to make sure that your passport is going to be valid for at least 6 months after that. Okay, really important. Second thing is, it is mandatory that you have travel insurance because of experiences that we've had in the past, just in case, and not just for this retreat, from other retreats. You have to buy travel insurances within 10 days of buying the ticket. But let me say this to you. The reason I'm saying within 10 days of buying your ticket, or 10 to 15 days, it depends on the company, is because if you're getting, there's different types of travel insurance. There's a travel insurance where no matter what happens and you cancel your ticket and you cancel the retreat, they give you all your money back. That is when it has to be between 10 days of buying the ticket. But if you're just getting travel insurance to cover your health, right, and to cover maybe your flight or something like that because of sickness or whatever it is, then it doesn't have to be within the 10 days. The 10 days is for those of you who are kind of wary about, are you going to be healthy enough or anything like that for that time during the retreat, and you want everything covered just in case. It's a bit more expensive. Then you have to keep in mind the 10-day thing. Otherwise, if you're just getting but you're getting the travel insurance that covers your health and the ticket or whatever like that, a percentage of it, then you don't have to worry about the 10-day thing. And the reason we make everyone get travel insurance is because of my experience of getting to Germany, getting taken off of the plane and being put in the ambulance and being in the hospital for 5 days. And it wasn't that it covered all my charges, which was, I would think, $15,000 or $17,000. But what it did by having travel insurance is my parents were able to call and have somebody as a translator to be able to find out what was going on with me in Germany. Because a lot of the people that were in the hospital didn't speak English. And so I had that translation in between, and it just made me feel a lot safer, and also for my family to know where I was and what was going on, because Travel Guard took care of that as the in-between person, and Travel Guard made sure I had a ticket to come back, and they made sure I had a hotel to go to when I got out of the hospital after 5 days. So we want to make sure, we're not saying that it's going to happen to any of you. Hopefully it never does. but we need you to be covered just in case. Because then if something happened in Kashmir, all of that would be taken care of, plus us watching over you. Okay? So that's where I go. I know a lot of you have mentioned that you never get travel insurance, but for us, we need you to. Any questions about that? The two places that my friend and I use, I only use Travel Guard because I had such a good experience that one time, right? And Travel Guard, you can call them. And one of the representatives will talk to you and give you ideas. I don't go for the premium. I go for the basic package because of how my health is. When I get something for somebody whose health is a little more shaky, I'll get the middle package or the premium package, right? But if you're feeling okay about everything, you can just get the basic package because it will cover up to $50,000 of hospital bills and stuff of that sort. So call Travel Guard. Global Rescue is really good too. My friend uses it. His husband was helicoptered out of France and taken to London when he was he had septic and he was really sick and dying, saved him. So I'm not trying to put in fear. I'm just trying to say there's certain things that need to be done and you can do it through whichever way you want to, but I'm going to need everyone to send it in just as proof that you have your insurance. Whew. That was a lot. Sorry about that. Any comments or questions or thoughts about this before we go on with regarding the travel insurance? Yes, Barbara. Unmute yourself, please. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see all of you.
Yeah.
I looked up a lot of different travel insurances, and ARP, if you're a member of ARP, it seemed a lot cheaper than the one that you had mentioned. So, maybe it's not a big deal to even join. I don't think you even have to pay to join it. So
Yeah, it is, and I think it's a yearly fee or something like that, but it's not. But that's really good to know because when I get my parents' insurance, I don't know if they're doing world travel anymore, but that's good to know. Thank you, Barbara.
yeah, it was considerably cheaper. I haven't gotten it yet, but
Yeah.
just in comparing everything, that looked really good.
For those of you who live in other parts of the world, ARP is, what does it represent? It's for people over the age of 55. So
Yeah.
I can
American
have ARP.
Association of Retired People.
Thank you. Not retired yet, but yeah, anybody over 55.
Not either.
Thank you for that. Any other questions regarding travel insurance? Okay, so let me just go back here. I will be, hold on, preview. I will be covering many of you will just be getting the 30-day visa because you're not planning on staying in India or traveling again, or maybe I have no idea. So I'm going to go over this in thorough and have the form and show you everything because I've had a few times where people have come into immigration in India and sent back. We had another person for our South India trip this December where luckily after me speaking to him in Hindi, he didn't send her back, but she had put in the wrong dates. And it just, anyways, so I'm going to go over that thoroughly with all of you in our next meeting, which I believe is in July 19th. But that's for the 30-day visa. If you want to get the 6-month visa or the 1-year visa or the 5-year visa, you can take care of that and go to the Indian consulate visa page. And it's different, depends on where you are. You can actually go to the consulate in some of our states here in America. And for certain states, you have to do it all online. But if you have questions about that, where, how, or what, I can help with that. It's a little overwhelming, but don't be overwhelmed. We'll help and figure it out. Alan?
Sorry, the online e-visa process is really pretty easy and pretty straightforward.
Okay,
And you get your visa pretty quickly. So
Yeah, you do now, right? It didn't used to be that way. It used to be a couple of weeks and it was really stressful, but they are getting better.
Well, can I ask, when we did it last time, you had to wait 30 days before you left, before you could apply. Is
Yeah.
that still the case?
It's still the case. It's still the case. So you can't fill out the form, but don't worry, we'll fill it out. Say you're flying out on the 2nd of September, then on the 2nd of August or whatever it is, you just fill it out and literally we've been getting it the next day. So then there's no stress. Yeah, Alan's right about that. That's great. Thanks, Al. And then another thing to mention, if you are getting a 6-month or 5-year or 1-year visa, one of the flags that sometimes does go up, and we've experienced that with people, don't mention you're going to have anything to do with yoga or meditation, even though I don't understand. Anyways, it brings up a red flag at times, and people have been denied because they're going to do a yoga training or a spiritual event. So just say travel, tourist, keep it simple.
Do you mention Kashmir, that you're going to Kashmir?
You don't need to. You don't need to.
Okay.
Just say you're going.
I think they actually want to know on the visa where you're going.
With the thing they do?
Yeah, I think you have to specify where you're going.
Okay, I've always just said Delhi, but that's fine.
You
I
also
just,
have to
because of
register
our
with-
experience with so many red flags of being denied, because I am going to Delhi, but
And you also register in Kashmir again.
yeah, but that's the whole thing that our guys will
That's a
take
whole-
care of with the people. That's a whole other day.
Yeah.
Rick, you had a question?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say I started the visa process and then I backed out. It was some website that wasn't involved with the government, and it was going to be like $75 or $90.
Yeah, it should be less
It
than that.
didn't-
Let me find
Yeah,
the
didn't sound right.
website, or Claudia, if you can find the website for the government one, because that's pretty basic and good and thorough, and then you know it's legitimate as well. That's another thing.
But you also said that we shouldn't apply until 30 days before our departure.
Yeah, if you're doing the 30-day visa, you can't. It won't let you.
Okay.
It won't let you fill out the paperwork until,
Okay.
like I said, if you're leaving September 2nd, you can't fill out the paperwork until 30 days before that. Not even like
So
31 days.
I'll forget about it.
So
until
completely
the
forget about it, and we'll
July
talk about
meeting.
it in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it will be a good idea to put that you are going to Delhi. Don't put on your thing that you're going to Kashmir, because there are still restrictions from years ago for Kashmir. And you can just put Delhi, and when you get to Delhi, if you want to go to Kashmir, even if you've got your ongoing flights, that's fine. Because when you get to the airport in Kashmir, normally now there is an FRO office right there, and they get you to fill out a form before you
Yeah,
come
our
out.
guys take care of all that, George. They take them, the car guys, so it keeps it much less stressful.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you, George. So nice to see you at midnight.
Oh yeah.
I knew you were going to come for a moment. Thank you.
What
Okay,
is
so
time?
it is. So clothing in Kashmir. This is a great picture of our whole group, most of it, towards the end of our trip at Harvan, where we can also, yeah, it's just a really beautiful day. This is one of our last days pretty much there. So as you can see, it gets a little chilly there sometimes in September and October, especially at nighttime or mornings. So you can see people wearing layers and stuff of that sort, but also, except for one person wearing shorts, everyone else is wearing pants. Of course, John's wearing shorts, pants and longer shirts and stuff like that. Just a little more modest, just like the rest of India. And Kashmir in some ways I think is even more modest than the big cities of the rest of India, like Chennai or Delhi. It just is. It just is. So just keeping that in mind with the clothes that you bring, I'd say layers. You can always buy something there. You'll definitely be able to get a Kashmiri pashmina shawl and stuff like that. But just keep that in mind, simple, comfortable clothing that covers you more so. Shawls, scarves, stuff of that sort. George, were you going to say anything?
No. Somebody just put something in the chat. I couldn't read it all.
Okay. Hold on, I can't see where the chat is. So does the chat say right
if
here,
I
one
want-
message? What if I already wanted to, what if I want to travel a week before and reach you just for the workshop? Shall I also come to Srinagar Airport for the meeting? For what meeting, Andres?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I would be already like for 2 weeks in India probably before our meeting, and I know you will meet everyone in Srinagar Airport at certain point, no?
Yeah, what happens is because
And
everyone
then
can't come at the same time, so we don't have like one big bus for everyone.
yeah,
So instead we have everyone's times of when they're coming within that day or few days. And we have an SUV or a car, or if there's like six people coming at the same time, we'll have a small minibus pick the people up. So
but
whenever
my
you're
question
coming,
was, can I also reach the destination, the ashram, wherever we're supposed to meet autonomously? Or
I'm
is
so
it
sorry,
better to
Andres,
come
I
to
can't hear you. You're broken.
I was saying, can I reach the place where we are going to do our sessions in autonomously, or shall I come to Srinagar and be picked up there in the airport? That's my question.
You can tell us which way you want to do it, and then we'll take care of it.
Okay, well, great, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can work that all out. So let me see. Did I have anything else? Okay, so here we go.
Just one thing, if you do decide to go autonomously, you have to come out of the airport and go to the taxi stand there, and I think it's probably, yeah, I don't know, the taxis are covered in everything, I think, aren't they, Shana?
No, we're not going to do it that way. We're doing it where we send our cars, and if people are coming where we're picking them up, then that's already preset through Uzair and everything like that. But we can discuss that in July
Yeah.
when we're closer to the time and everyone has their tickets, and then we can go there.
And
Yeah.
just to say, because if it's heavy season, that you stand around for quite a while at the prepaid taxi stand, which is the only way that you should always get a ticket, prepaid taxi, to the ashram.
Or to anywhere in India, as much
Yeah,
as
pretty
you
much.
can.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So let's go over some questions that we've received this time, and also questions from our last retreat that I thought that we could use for this time. Those of you who have never been to India, something I would suggest to look into, because each of us have our different ways of looking at this, right? Go to the CDC, and for here in America, the CDC has to do with our, hey, Alan, what does CDC stand for?
Centers for Disease Control.
Thank you very much. Centers for Disease Control. So you'll be able to see in there, if you put in that you're traveling to India, of what possible vaccinations you should get, or maybe you already have, or stuff of that sort. And it'll give you a good list. And some of them need to be done about 4 to 6 months before you fly to India. So look into that and see what is best for you and your comfort level. Okay, with the CDC. And I'm sure you have those also in the countries in Europe and South America. A question came up about how safe is it in Srinagar and in Kashmir? George, you want to tell us how safe it is? Because you're living there now. We've only gone to visit like a month here and a month there. How safe is it these days for all of us to be going there, or for a person to go into Srinagar in a car on their own?
I mean, the world is changing day by day. So we're looking, 6, 8 months away. But yeah, I've been in Kashmir now for the last, pretty much full time for the last 4 years. And yeah, no problem. There are tourists coming in all the time, tourist groups, and there's been no problem with that, because tourism is the biggest industry in Kashmir. There's still little factions of people that try to upset the apple cart, but it's never affecting the tourist industry. It's usually just it's not in and around Srinagar. But as I say, we're 8 months away. Right now, everything is totally fine. It has been fine for the last 4 or 5 years. Well, it's been fine, for tourism for the last 10, 15 years, I would say, maybe 20 years. Because, there were problems in the beginning after Kashmiri Pandits left the valley. But then the people said, this is our bread and butter. This is the only industry in Kashmir is really tourism, and saffron, maybe saffron and some almonds and whatever. But so it's just a blanket understanding that for everybody, don't disturb tourists. and I never feel any threat there. You know, but I mean, anywhere in the world right now is still, it's up and down. So keep that in mind.
It's kind of always been up and down. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, George. Questions about water safe to drink?
Well, there's bottled water that we bring in, and also there are ROs in the ashram. There's 3 of them. There's one in the main kitchen. All the hotels have reverse osmosis water filters. So the water that they give for drinking is all, pretty much had whatever taken out of it that
Right.
maybe there. And it's just advisable, if you've never been to India before, have some curries for the month or 2 before. Go to an Indian restaurant, have a hot curry, get your body used to. Not that the food is like, we make sure the food is not too hot, not too much, spice. But the spices in India are very different to what you get everywhere else. So just acclimate your body to it, I think most of you will know what that's all about.
And what a lot of people did last time is they brought their own bottles, and then you
Yeah.
can just fill your bottle with water wherever you go, not the tap.
Yeah,
But there's certain areas where you can, because that should be totally fine. It's
Yeah.
lots of changes have happened, which is really, really good. And regarding the food, we have this head chef, and his 17 people come from Jammu and cook for us for most of the retreat, for our lunches and our dinners, and they're just really, really good, and just all kinds of different foods. So do get your stomachs prepared for a mix of different Indian food and stuff of that sort from different parts of India as well, not just Kashmiri. Regarding car sickness, just something to mention, because we do go on some day trips and there are some winding roads. What we try to do for those of you who do feel car sickness is have you sit up closer to the front. We have mini buses, not big buses. And you can sit up front, but also I suggest to bring in whatever you use when you get car sick. Some of you have Dramamine, some of you like ginger chews, some of you like bands on your wrists, whatever floats your boat. Use it, bring it. And I usually bring some extra packages for people, because there's always people that feel a little car sick. Something to keep in mind. Another question that came up a few times last time, because Srinagar does get cooler in the evening and cooler in the mornings, is there heat in the guest houses? And there are space heaters in both guest houses, just to keep in mind. But since we're going to be there towards the beginning of September, it might be warmer in the days. So definitely do layers and cotton if you can, for where you are able to just wear like a thinner top and bottoms, because it might be warmer in the daytime in September. You just never know with the weather these days, right? And one other question was, how many hotels do we check in? When you come into Kashmir, you stay at one place. So you're not packing and going to another place and another place. It's just one place, whichever guest house you've chosen, that's where you'll get dropped off by the car that picks you up. And then regarding pickup and drop off at the airport in Srinagar, we have this great team, Uzair and his team, that just took such good care of our people. And they were on time, and one of the drivers would go inside of the airport where they're not allowed in, but somehow they're able to get in, and they'll find you and they'll help you fill out the form, and they'll take you to the car, and they'll bring you to the ashram or to the guest house. It's really well done. He has a really good team that does great work. So before I go to the end, are there any questions about that? This is a picture of a shikara, which all of us will be going on this next time to the sunset in Dal Lake, which you can see here, which is just so beautiful. Shikara is one of the boats that is paddled by a man in the background that you can't see with different designs. So let's see here. And this is from the last time of Swamiji's Havan, his Mahasamadhi. And quite a large fire here. And the priests. And this went on for what, George? Like 8 or 9 hours? It was pretty fabulous.
Generally around about 8 hours from go to woe, and
yeah. So let me stop the share. Next meeting is July 19th at 9:30 again, our time in the US. So here we have a question from Nikki. Hi, Nikki. Is it cheaper to exchange US dollars to rupees in abduction, the USA or India? Of what I recall, you're not really allowed to bring in many rupees into India. And so I'll go over that with you in July, where you can exchange your money, how you should at least have a couple $100 or $100 worth of rupees in your pocket when you get out of the Delhi airport and stuff of that sort. But we'll take care of that in July for sure. A good question.
What was the question again? Sorry about
To exchange the money in America to rupees or exchange the money in India.
I don't think you can change the money in.
There are some places where you can, but you're not supposed to, and you're not supposed to bring rupees into India. But you can. There are places.
Or out.
Yeah, or out, that too. So let me go to Paul then. Paul, what's your question?
As you can see, I'm quite hairy now, so it doesn't reflect my passport, so I'm going to chop everything off, I'm sure, right?
No, I think you'll be good. I mean, shoot, what do you think? Because George, Paul used to have less hair.
Yeah.
It's usually the opposite way for people. Huh? He should be fine, right?
Yeah, as you are. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't cut your stuff if you don't want to.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's not Singapore in the 70s.
Ah.
Yeah, you should
Thank
be
you.
good. Good. Who else had their hand up? Anybody else?
Alan.
I did. I actually was able to withdraw rupees from one of the cash machines there, and that actually was a low expense way to do it. You have to be careful because some of the cash machines charge high fees.
Yeah.
So you have to know which bank to use. But I was able to do it last time with relatively minimal, I mean, not considerable fees. So just
yeah,
know
that's
that it's
one of the
possible
ways.
to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the ways. And another way, and we'll go over that in July, is they have all these little stands where you can exchange the money when you're in customs through immigration and stuff of that sort. So there are different ways of doing that. I usually get a couple $100 US dollars changed into rupees instantly. So I have some tip money and some change, but we're going to go over all that in July in more
Thank
detail.
you.
But
I
you don't
really
need to get money.
appreciate that.
What'd you
I
say,
really
Nikki?
appreciate it's hi. I just wanted to say I really appreciate that because my husband and I went to Goa 2 years ago and we took money out from the Dulles airport before we went. But when we got in country, we realized we paid an exorbitant amount of money for that exchange rate when we really didn't need to.
Yeah.
We could have gotten it locally. And I just didn't want to get kind of ripped off again. So I wanted to get your take now that it's definitely not Goa, right? Like this is definitely not Goa. I wanted to get your take on, is it better to just get it in Delhi? And thanks also for the feedback of that we're not supposed to have it. I didn't know that because I still have money left over.
Right,
So
but
I
just
didn't
keep
know.
it. You won't get in bad trouble. I also do. So I always take my rupees back. I just have it in my wallet. But I think they're talking about large amounts.
Oh yeah. No, it's just a few. Like it's just for tipping, right? Like that's
Yeah.
really what I was asking for is because I want to be kind and tip because I know that you said that your team is being so generous. I'd like to be generous back, right?
Yeah.
For their time and their
Yeah,
effort.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nikki.
Thank you.
Yeah, I accept any tips, whatever you have.
So Harish says, are there cushions to sit on where the flooring is hard? Example at the Homa. So last time we were there, LJA bought, I think, 50.
Yeah,
We
big-
bought 50 cushions and had them all
Yeah.
covered with this beautiful covers. George, are they still there?
They're still there, and we also now have these little like 2-inch foam cushions, little square pads too. Which they're there. They're there for for bony butts like mine.
And there's also chairs. They have chairs. We bought
We have
lots of
chairs to sit on. Yeah.
So don't need to sit on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
I sit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So then Sonia says, are extra nights at the same guest house or a different location? Do you have an idea of the monthly rate? So Sonia, it would be at the same guest house unless they're booked, but they're not right now. So it'd be at the same guest house. I have no idea what their monthly rate is, but if you're thinking or wondering or whatever, you can always send a message and I can forward it to them and we can go from there. Yeah. Who else? Do we have any other questions here? Let me see. Travel. Did we cover everyone's questions, everyone? Or is there anything else
I
here?
have two questions.
Yeah.
One is kind of a practical thing. Is it possible to charge devices there? And do you need some special adapter?
In July, well, I always take this little, you don't need an adapter to change for whatever, but there's a plug, right, Al?
No, you don't even need a plug. I was actually able to use a Western plug directly. The outlets in the hotel, at least in the
Yeah,
fancy
but
hotel, are multi plugs, so I could
yeah,
plug Western, US plugs directly in.
but not in the basic guest house.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So we'll go over that too, of like what you can buy. Look, Claudia, show your little plug right there. So show the front, but we'll give the name of it all in July. Show the back. What does it plug into? That's the front.
Yeah.
And then the back, yeah.
That's
Show it a
the
little bit more,
adapter.
Claudia, because you kind of like showed it for a second.
That's a more elevated that I just bought because I left mine the other day to go into Germany, and it's the same one in Germany and Europe than it is in India, so that fits into an Indian plug also. They also have like a larger one in some Indian places, more bulky, but usually with this you can get into all plugs in India.
And I also bought just a small one because it's less heavy and you just put it in. It was like
Yeah.
$2.99 or whatever.
I have a really small one that you can squeeze on the size and it makes it sort of fit any two prong.
Okay.
And I just forgot last time, but this is what I had in my drawer here. So
And we'll go over all of that in July and maybe
In
put up
July.
some examples from where you can buy it. I was gonna say
Okay,
Amazon, but we're trying to stay away from Amazon.
One other last question, and that is, if do like the staff and people there appreciate gifts from the US, and if so, what kind of things should we bring, or do they just prefer rupees?
Well, what we do is
Or
everyone
tips and
puts
things.
together, I think $150. I think it's in the list, and we all put the money together. And then what we do is like all the waiters and management in each of the places, we give them, and also the cooks and the drivers as a group, we give them a nice amount of money that sometimes is more than what they're making in a month or 2 months.
Oh, wow. Great.
That's why
Okay.
that's why both of the hotels, the staff are really waiting for you guys to come back.
Because they're all so good, they all work so hard and they're kind and they're helpful. And it's not even just about the money, but at the end, it was really nice for us all to come together to gift everyone. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah,
Yes, Claudia.
I just saw the comment from Harish. India uses 220 volt, not 110. So just be aware of that. You don't bring any heavy duty things that can't switch over to 220, and also hair dryers, and that might not work there. I would
Hair
just be
dryers
careful.
don't work unless you
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
actual voltage. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get dual purpose. If you look on your thing, it'll show whether it works for 220. But
Just
yeah,
look at
Yeah,
that.
but not hair dryers. Hair dryers, you've got to get just that, otherwise they blow up. Experience. What can I say? Okay, so we have 2 more questions here. Let's see. Andres wants to know the roaming working and the phones, and you have internet working in most of the places. So here we go. Wi-Fi at the hotel, you'll be able to access. Kashmir, compared to any other state in the rest of India, you have to get a whole other SIM card to be able to work on your phone. So what happened is most people, except for myself and people I was working with, just forego having the ability to be able to connect to people when we were in the buses and going around, but then they would connect to people when they're at the guest house. So just for security reasons, what they did many years ago, the government, is they created this whole system where so that they could, keep check on everyone, where you have to have your own, a SIM card from Kashmir, no matter where you're from in the world, whether you're Indian or from Western countries.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you really need to, then we can figure that out.
Yeah, and your WhatsApp will work as long as there's Wi-Fi. Your WhatsApp will work on your US phone.
Exactly, that's where the WhatsApp comes in. You can't actually use texting because that would cost you and it wouldn't work. But the WhatsApp works on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I want to check one thing about that. Somebody told me that some providers give data worldwide, and so WhatsApp will work even without Wi-Fi.
Not in
Not in
Kashmir.
Kashmir. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you for
Kashmir.
clarifying that.
Yeah, Kashmir is a sensitive area in that way that when the G20 happened for 1 week or something, they opened it up because there were people from all over the world, and everything worked. Your international phone worked, and then after 1 week, it got shut down. So it's a
Yeah. But say, Rick, if you were going to be in Delhi for like a week or two and you wanted, any of you that are planning on staying in India for longer, then you can look into like your T-Mobile plan or your AT&T plan and add that international 1 month plan to it or 2 week plan to it is always a good idea. But if you're just going to be around for a couple of days in Delhi, just you can use the Wi-Fi of whatever hotel you're at and stuff of that sort.
Okay, good to
Okay.
know.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I just had a comment. The food is fantastic. Hopefully you like Indian food, but the food really is like superb.
It
Well,
really is.
I love it.
Well, he also did. He bought he had a Chinese chef there, and he also did some. I think he did slices of pizza
He
one
did
night.
South India, he did South Indian,
Right.
he did Chinese Indian, he did Kashmiri, he did Punjabi, he did all these different like foods. It was really, I was,
Yeah.
it was really, and they're coming again from Jammu, which will be nice. So it's if some of you have been to India and you go to the ashram where you have dal and rice, it's not dal and rice.
Yeah.
Which is dal and rice is good too, but it's 10 days of dal and rice gets to be a little bit much. So
Yeah, dal and rice is only if you want to get enlightened quickly. This is for the senses and feeding all your shaktis. And Tony, we've known Tony for many years. Swamiji used to visit his family house. His father and that were devotees of Swamiji. He's a long-term person who understands all the ins and outs of where we're coming from. So, and he does his best. He's looking forward to this whole function again. I see his group here. He caters for 1,000 people in a night, big weddings, and he is the #1 caterer in the whole of Jammu and Kashmir. He's the #1 caterer for big functions, little functions, or whatever. And he's so sweet. Whenever there's a function on in the hotel here, he comes up to the room where I'm with Indra. He says, "The tandoori oven is going. I want to send you up some tandoori rotis. I know you won't eat everything else." Yeah. So he really goes out of his way, and everybody was
brings
there
that.
before.
Yeah, and he brings that tandoori oven with him, and it's all fresh breads, Indian breads every night, every lunch. So, anyways, fantastic. Okay, everyone, we're trying to stay on time because some of you need to go to sleep and some of you need to go somewhere and do something. But good night, George. Thank you for that. So, thank you, everyone, for all your wonderful questions and email if you want to know anything.
When's the next meeting? Do we already know?
Yeah, it was in the thing July 19th at 9:30 a.m. Yeah, so we'll see you to then. Enjoy spring and summer, and we'll see you in the middle of summer.
Good to see you, Ricardo.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So exciting
Thank you
to
all.
see everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Exciting.
Yes.
Bye. Nice seeing all of you. Bye, Ricardo.
Bye.
Ricardo, don't forget your cigars. You won't get good ones here. No, you're muted. I think you're muted. Can't hear you.
You have to read his lips.
Okay.
He's saying yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. Take
See you
care.
all.
Hi. Okay, yeah, see you all. Jai Gurudev.
Say good.